Brought to you by the Ramsey Network app. Download for content that keeps you motivated today. So I'm 64. My plan is to not retire. I plan to stay on the microphone.
Are you allowed to say that? I said that one time. I got excoriated by people.
That's what I wanted to bring up. You said it's insane that we haven't raised the retirement age in the U.S. I think there's two parts to this argument. There's a Social Security math problem of the arbitrary age 65 thing, but there's also then the philosophy of what is retirement and why did we create this idea that we work at something we hate long enough and hard enough that we don't have to do anything. And that seems to be counterproductive. It doesn't seem to be a good spiritual walk to me. It doesn't seem to be good emotionally balanced to me. You know, I can't find retirement in the Bible. And I'm not condemning someone who is retiring, but philosophically, I want to talk about retirement, or we do. And also I want to talk about this idea, it's, you know, the end of that quote from you is it's not fiscally sustainable, you know, to quit at 65 when you've got a pretty good likelihood if you make it to 65, statistically, you're probably going to be 90. So you've got, those numbers start to be screwy with Social Security.
Yep. I mean, so as you say, there's two arguments there. The one I think I got hit more on was the virtue argument that you were making about the virtue of work and how it's not good to have a mentality at 65 that you're basically going to, and when I said retirement, what I meant was like actual retirement, like go sit on a beach somewhere, move down to the villages, drink at 3 p.m., like that sort of thing. I wasn't talking about people who decide that, their back is broken from having worked a job for 30 years, and now what they want to do is work in their community, and what they want to do is work a part-time job, go teach at the local school, do charity work. That's not retirement to me. When I'm thinking of retirement, I'm talking about like retirement. And I do think that income is a good incentive for people to continue to work because, I've worked with enough people in the charity sphere that it turns out that working for little or no recompense is difficult to sustain over time. There are certain people who will work for free because they're just that community minded. But the truth is that people want to feel some sort of fiscal and financial reward for the work that they're doing, even if it's not, the kind of pay they could be making full time in the private sector for-profit industry. And so, on the virtue point, what I see is an increasingly depressed America because people don't value work in the way that I think that work ought to be valued. And a country that has set up an expectation that work itself is somehow bad and unfulfilling. And that's a weird thing, particularly in an age when you're not working at a loom, right? You're not working in the coal mines typically. There are people who obviously are, but the reality is the vast majority of people who are aching for retirement are sitting at a keyboard right now, or at least a huge number of them are. I wouldn't say the vast majority, a huge number of them are. And so this idea that like what you're really straining for is 25 years of sitting on a beach, like I just don't know where the virtue is in that. Vacation's great. I love it. But there's a reason vacation ain't a full-time job. And, the lack of involvement in your community, lack of involvement in your family life. And again, jobs don't have to be, going and working in a coal mine.
Making the human race better.
Yes, exactly.
Engage in something.
My sister's a stay-at-home mom. She's making the human race better by sitting home and homeschooling her kids and making sure that everything's... My wife, the doctor, right, after she had the last baby, she dropped out of the workforce and is taking care of the baby. And eventually she'll probably go back in part-time. That she's working, right? That is a form of work. The point that I was making is that we as a society have degraded work. And when you have government programs that are designed to degrade work, that basically say, work hard and then we'll take care of you the rest of your life and you never have to work again. That's seeing work in, I think, a perverse way. And then obviously you have the fiscally unsustainable reality that is Social Security, a giant pyramid scheme with an aging population where everyone knows and every politician lies about it. They all lie. Everyone knows we're either going to have to radically increase taxes or radically reduce benefits in the next few years. Everyone knows this is going to happen. Or radically increase
debt.
Yes. Right. And they keep saying they're going to grow their way out of it, but I just don't see how that works.
There is a rat and a snake mathematically.
Yes.
There really is.
That's scary. So what are your thoughts about the extreme side of that, the financial independent retire early, the people who say, hey, at 45, I want to be work optional and I'm going to have enough money piled up that I can leave this job that I hate?
Saying that you want to leave the job you hate for another thing, I think is fine. If you hate your job and you want to find a better job or you want to find a better thing to do with your life, that's fine. But I'll tell you, I have a lot of friends who are billionaires, and many of them became billionaires in the tech world at the age of 35, 40, right? They sold their companies, they made a ton of money, and then they quote-unquote retired. And they are just itching. You can see them itching.
They want to start a new thing.
Yeah, they go and they start new things, whether it's charity work or whether it's starting a new business. People have an urge to create, and creators particularly have an urge to create. Right? I think when God says at the beginning of Genesis that we're made in his image, one of the things that makes us like God is our creative capacity, right? The only thing that God's done in the Bible to that point is create everything. So when it says that humans are made in God's image, we're the only creature really that has the ability to independently create. And so when you stop that creative process, when you stop creating, which is really a form of building, then you lose something in yourself. And I think that's a real negative for the soul.